off air? Does it say
Wait,
on
there we
air?
go.
On
It says,
air. We're here.
live.
I have a feeling that every time that happens, every time I click or every time it like takes a minute to switch from off air to on air, we're actually on air, and it's just Google and YouTube's way of making me look like a bit of a loon for about 2 seconds, where I'm like, "What's happening?" Hello, everybody who's just tuning in. This is Sound Booth Theatre Live. I'm Will Watt, and I am here with the wonderful Jonathan Smidt. Say hello, Jonathan.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Is the stream actually working? I'm checking it on my phone.
Is it? Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Let me check it on my YouTube.
Hello.
It is. It is. I can hear your dulcet tones right now. Amazing. And we've got a couple of people already joining in the chat as well. Incred. Hello, welcome everybody. So yes, we are here. I'm here with my co-narrator Popper, the Chihuahua, and we're going to be reading from Bone Dungeon, which is going to be my next project for Sound Booth Theatre. And Jonathan, this is part of a trilogy that you're writing, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I was discussing with you earlier, the Bone Dungeon is going to have 3 books on it. The Elemental series itself, we don't know when that's going to end.
You know, there's a lot that can be written. We've got a big, vast, exciting world that we can populate. Very cool, very cool. And for people who have not read you before, give us like a little bit of an idea of kind of like what your style is and like, I don't know, what to expect in one of your books.
All right, so that's a weird one. My style, we've got a joke on one of the Lit RPG Discords that my chapter lengths are rather short. We lovingly refer to them as a glix in length, which they say is about 1,000 words.
What is that? Is that a glix?
Well, it's a short because my handle is always Glyax, so they've narrowed it down to a
Amazing.
glix, a GLX. So the running joke is how many glicks you've written in a day. So
I
my
love it.
chapters are short, but the way I describe them is essentially it's like a short hit of a drug, and my whole point of that is I've got these short, punchy chapters that are just gonna give you a taste of what you want, kind of fill that need, but leave you wanting more. So you're just gonna binge the story from just start to finish.
Amazing, amazing. You made it sound really compelling and like potentially like a little bit dangerous. Like, am I going to have to go into rehab after
I mean, some of
a
the
couple of your
initial
chapters?
reviews on Bone Dungeon, people did mention they may have lost track of time and read into the early hours of the morning.
No way. That's as an author, that must be a pretty like in England we'd say you'd be wearing your chufty badge, which means you must be pretty proud of yourself if you get feedback like that. You're like, yeah, I kept those people up all night.
It's like sorry, not sorry.
Right? It's a pretty good thing. I'd say own that. That's amazing. That's amazing. Incredible. Well, yeah, they are very short chapters. When I was like writing out I have like a little thing where I kind of like figure out when I'm going to record and like build a timetable based on the chapter lengths and stuff. And like you get some books where you get a chapter that's like 30 pages long, and I'll be like, cool, well, that's going to take me 17 hours to record, so I best set aside a full week. But yeah, yours was quite refreshing. I was like, oh, look at all of these bite-sized 4 and 5 page chapters that I get to read. And you're right, it is kind of fun because like a lot of them, like that where I've read through my initial kind of skim through, have been very kind of like punchy. There's a lot that kind of goes on. And like, I don't know, it's kind of interesting as well to like, because I have mad ADD. So being able to hold my attention over like a shorter time span is definitely a boon, I think. Fantastic. Well, I think I'd best get on and shut up and read some of your words, as you are the author. You are the one paid to come up with these things. I'm just paid here to bring them to the people. So I'm going to read chapter 1 first of all. So I wanted to mention beforehand as well that there's obviously this is a Sound Booth Theatre production, so there's going to be multiple cast members on this narration. There may be female voices in what I'm about to read, and I'm gonna freestyle. I'm gonna give them whatever voice comes to my mind at the time. But please note that they will sound much better, much more beautiful, much more actually female when the book is released and we have our wonderful co-narrators.
Before you start, Will, it looks like Sin is wondering why we can't see you. It's only viewed in on my face here.
Oh no. Okay, hold on. Let me change that around. How do I do it? Can you see my like workspace now?
Well, there's a little lag from the live chat to us, so give me a second to see, but I'm not sure. Oh, yep, there we go. We're on your workspace.
Incredible. Oh yeah, I can see it switching back and forth now. I was wondering, I was like, this is really great. It's not doing that annoying thing that it normally does, where I have to like switch back and forth between the two different things. Um, awesome. Oh my goodness, we've got so many people chatting. This is insane. Hi everyone. You're a puppy. I am a puppy, or I have a puppy. This is Popper. Popper is my friend's little dog, and he's already shat on my floor twice within the last 24 hours. So our relationship thus far is going great. I'm dog sitting him until Saturday, and he's pretty cool. He's pretty great. Fantastic, cool. Shall we? Shall we do chapter 1? Let's go. Alrighty, chapter 1. For your sins against the church. Sins? In what perverse world did rushing to help someone screaming in distress count as a sin? Sheesh. We hereby assign you punishment. Death. Death. That seemed a little drastic. And then again, Ryan had attacked the High Inquisitor, but the man had ordered those innocent people to be beaten. There was no way the church would condone this type of action by its followers. Oh, wait. This was the church. Will you repent in your last moments, heathen? The man at Ryan's side, clad all in white, was practically oozing distaste for him, though he had done nothing wrong. Ryan opened his mouth to speak, to protest, but his cries were muffled behind the gag they had placed on him. Well, that's just not fair. Even now you refuse to repent, and so, as the hand of the goddess of justice, I set forth your sentence and act upon it. The priest's hand moved, and the blade of the guillotine came crashing down. Damn. Ryan's head left his body, and he watched in awe as the whole world turned upside down. Part of him had been hoping to at least ruin the high priest's robe with his blood, but no such luck. Of all the branches of the church to arrive in his small town, why did it have to be the zealots of the light? The only sin Ryan had committed was trying to be a good man, certainly a better one than the corrupt followers of the goddess. His eyes focused on the bright golden sun for a moment, before his mind drifted off and his world went blank. I'm sorry, child, for the unjust end to your life, a woman's voice whispered in his mind. Ryan opened his eyes, startled by the emptiness around him. Was he dead? He was pretty sure you died when your head was cut off. The least I can do to atone for the sins of my followers is grant you another life. Ryan glanced around, but there was no one. His body, completely intact, was simply floating in nothingness. Stay pure to your heart, young man, and I hope you continue to walk the path of righteousness. The world started to turn dark. Whatever was going on, Ryan was confused. As a heaviness filled his mind, all he could think of was how unlucky this whole ordeal had been. He wondered if he was hallucinating, but deep in his heart, he knew he was really dead. Wake up! A voice, loud and shrill, pulled him from the darkness. How long had he been asleep? Hello! The voice continued, louder this time. Ryan opened his eyes as visions, memories flashed through his mind and disappeared. Who am I? An image of a man in white, a movement, a giant blade. Ah, the church. Wait, what's a church? Anyone in there? The speaker, a small floating thing, stared at him. She, Ryan was pretty sure it was a she, appeared to be a young woman, judging from her simple white dress and long golden hair. However, she definitely wasn't human. Feathery wings sprouted from her back, and she glowed with a faint golden light. Ryan tried to respond, but realized he couldn't. With a quick glance, he realized a lot of things. First, he had no mouth. Second, he was certain he didn't have any eyes, yet he could somehow see in 360 degrees around him. Third, his body was a glowing white sphere. Had he always been a glowing white sphere? The more he inspected himself, he realized he was made of some sort of glowing stone. Oh, you're awake! The tiny woman flapped her wings in excitement. The motion sent her flying into the ceiling above Ryan. If he had a mouth, he would have laughed. He took in his surroundings, a small, confined space with stone and dirt all around. Was he underground? Had he always lived down here? The woman in front of him lowered herself to his eye level, so to speak, and smiled. What's your name? Ryan? The name came to the surface of his mind and he clung to it. That's right, he was definitely a Ryan, but he still had no way to speak. The woman stared at him in silence. After a long while, she shook her head, laughing. That's right. I have to complete our bond first. Her body started to glow brighter and she leaned forward, wrapping her arms around him. Their two lights blended and she gently kissed the top of his stone. In that instant, Ryan felt a flash of energy rush through him. The light emanating from him filled the room. At the same time, he felt this strange stream of thoughts, a consciousness in his mind. Reaching out internally, he saw the woman shudder as he engaged it. Hello? He thought to her. She beamed. Hello! Her voice was filled with excitement. Who are you? Ryan was thoroughly confused about what exactly was going on. One moment he was in darkness, and now this? Oh, of course you don't know. Sorry. I'm just as new to all of this as you are. She flustered around them, suddenly nervous. My name's Erin. Ryan. He projected his name through their bond. They sat there for a moment, Erin's face growing steadily redder. The continued silence started to feel awkward, and it didn't seem like Erin was going to be the one to break it. So, Erin, what exactly are you? And more importantly, what am I? For some reason, he had no idea. Strange. Well, I am a celestial fairy. She spread her wings wide, beaming with pride. And you, Ryan, are a dungeon. So we have it, chapter one.
Chapter
Um,
1.
amazing.
Aw,
What do you think of my fairy voice? I think that, like,
Hot.
right? Right? Oh, Jeff's
totally
here.
fabulous.
How you doing?
What's up, man?
How are you? You snuck in quietly there.
Yeah, I did. I've been waiting. I've been like just creeping behind you this like almost the entire time.
That's kind of
Yeah,
scary.
yeah, a little bit.
I'm like, should I, should I have installed some sort of security system here?
Perhaps,
Like, what's
perhaps.
going on? Ooh, crazy times. What did you think of chapter one?
I think it sounds fun. Okay, so you were the fairy and the main character in this one, and did we meet anybody else there?
We met like the goddess of justice.
Hot again.
Briefly for a hot sec, but I think I gave her the same voice as the fairy because I wasn't paying attention. So I don't know. Maybe they went to the same school, grew up in the same.
We'll
You know,
we'll
who
have the
knows?
ladies figure that one out.
Right? It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Um,
Okay, cool. So yeah, how many segments are we doing?
so we have the next one is chapter 33. Did you want to join in?
Sure, yeah, hell yeah.
Amazing. It's on. I'm reading the original, like not the marked up manuscript. And it's on page 145, I think, of the PDF.
Okay, got it.
Or if you have
And
a.
Jonathan, nice to meet you.
How's it going?
Going well. How about you, man?
Can't complain, you know,
Cool.
just chilling here, listen to Will give my story some life.
Absolutely, he's good at that. Can you now there's one character that you wanted me to do specifically in this book.
Yes.
And he has like his own segment, right?
Yep.
What was
Yep.
his name again?
Victor.
Now, would working on this segment a little bit today be spoilerific at all?
No, not
Okay.
too much. Especially because he gets introduced early on, into the chapters and everything. Uh, and his name gets mentioned here and there.
Okay. Alright,
But he
so-
is like the main antagonist of the story,
Gotcha. I just love doing the bad guy.
right?
Okay, so chapter 30, let's do chapter 33 first, or the segment that you have prepared for chapter 33. And then can we jump to like a little section? You said Victor is his name, right?
Victor, yep.
Yeah. And then can we like jump to maybe his first segment so that you can direct me as to because I remember from the emails there's like it was just a little bit different what was going on with Victor's segments, so I just wanted to get some direction on that.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Ready when you are, Will.
Amazing. Can I give you I'm gonna give you for this scene Karen, Erin, and Emily. Is Emily in this one?
Is this a ERIN or Aaron? Aaron.
It's an ERIN, an Erin.
Not my AA Ron.
All right.
Okay, cool. Chapter 33. Blake was first into the room, shield raised. Unlike the other four groups, Blake's team seemed to know exactly what to expect. Ryan figured that made sense, given that Blake had actually seen Steve before. Steve? His name's Steve? Jack erupted in laughter as he followed Blake into the room. I've got to say, this dungeon has some amusing names for mobs. And just like that, Ryan decided he didn't like the thief. Ryan was already self-conscious about Steve's name. He didn't need adventurers laughing at him.
Okay, you got any direction for Aaron here?
So in the book, let's see what it says. Celestial fairy, younger, innocent sounding in voice, sheltered, having not gone out into the world until the goddess of justice sent her to Ryan. I was channeling my younger sister, aged circa 11 or 12, is what I went for in the last scene. But you do you. You do you. Give me your most innocent voice you can.
Don't interfere.
I love it. That was perfect.
Wow.
Aaron scolded as Ryan prepared to order Steve to attack Jack. Gah, thwarted by etiquette once again.
You're not allowed to make it easier or harder this time around.
She went on.
Just let Steve be Steve.
This is so trippy that I'm doing an American accent and you're doing a British accent. This is like, this is insane. It's like Freaky Friday. Like I'm Lindsay Lohan. It's amazing. Sorry. But...
No buts, Ryan.
Yes, dear. His comment earned him a slap, but it was playful in nature. Together, they turned their attention back to the boss room. Be careful of his spikes, Blake reminded the team as he slowly began advancing on Steve, sword and shield raised. Matt cocked an arrow and began walking in a wide circle away from Steve, staying on the side of his bladed arm. What does Jack sound like? Jack. He's the thief guy, right?
He's the thief.
What, you mean he slings bones? Jack laughed as he sauntered away from Blake and Matt. Ryan suspected they had discussed a battle plan for Steve prior to entering the room. All the other teams had rushed in, screamed, and then gone into battle in a frantic scramble. Had Steve been fighting at full strength? None of the other teams would have... Had Steve been fighting at full strength, none of the other teams would have likely survived. Yeah, they shoot out. At that moment, Steve decided to take action. 5 spikes flew from the darkness that hung where his right arm should have been. The spikes flew past Blake's shield and headed towards Emily. Nobody in the room seemed able to react in time, and Ryan was certain and sad that Emily was a goner. Nope. Jack was suddenly in front of Emily. Jack was suddenly in front of Emily, his daggers moving in a blur as wind whipped around him. He cut the tendrils holding the bones, and Ryan watched, both surprised and impressed as the spikes fell harmlessly to the ground. Did the thief just... Ryan stuttered.
Yep.
Aaron said. Aha. I guess I can't hate him now. Ryan couldn't believe Jack had managed to not only get in front of Emily in time, but also deflect all of Steve's spikes. He was also surprised Jack had put himself in danger. The last thief had simply hidden until the fight was almost over.
Okay, direction for Karen.
Direction for Karen. Let's see. Karen is gold 4-level credit, celestial affinity, party leader for Blake's team, takes her role seriously. I want grit and determination. Sees it as her duty to keep Blake and the others alive, and this weighs on her. Ooh, gritty, gritty, gritty. But she really cares deeply for them and wants simply to see them grow and have fun. So I'm imagining kind of like Bruce Willis in Die Hard, but like female is what I want you to go for. I want you to really channel that kind of like thinning hair if you can.
Yeah, okay. Like,
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
like
Perfect. Erin said.
all right.
Jack?
Wait, where are we? Right. Karen's voice broke the stillness that had filled the room following Steve's attack. The thief was breathing heavily, and Ryan could see blood dripping from his nose. May have used a tad too much mana. Jack's daggers dropped from his hands as he fell to the ground, coughing up blood. Don't mind me, guys. 'Tis but a flesh wound. He chuckled and groaned. Just do something about the boss. He spat more blood as he spoke. Sooner rather than later, he managed. His words snapped the rest of the group out of their surprised state, and with a cry, Blake charged Steve. At the same time, Matt began loosing arrow after arrow at Steve. Unfortunately for the archer, basic arrows really did nothing against an 8-foot skeleton that was reinforced with dark mana. Blake was having a little more success. It seemed he had been practicing his sword work, and Ryan had to admit Blake seemed to know what he was doing with his shield. He was successfully blocking Steve's arrows and landing a few counter blows of his own. However, his shield was quickly being turned into splinters, and he wasn't chipping bone away enough to take Steve down anytime soon. Any help here? He called out, breathless as he absorbed another blow from Steve. The skeleton's bladed arm bit deep into the wood of the shield, and as Steve tried to pull his arm free, he pulled Blake with it. Ha! Ryan laughed as Blake was lifted off the ground. Steve stared down at his arm, which now had a human attached. Have you tried sticking it with the pointy end? Jack gasped. Ryan noticed now that Karen was at the thief's side, her hands glowing gold as she healed him. It seemed humans took quite a bit of internal damage from using too much mana. Mana? How do I say that in an American accent?
Mana.
I did get it right. Okay, cool. It's one of those where there's another word that, what is it? Oh, the word hover, Hover. Hover in English and then hover in American. And I always say hover in English now and people never know what I'm talking about. And it's surprising how much the word hover comes up in general day-to-day conversation.
Really?
I'm not a wizard. I don't have secret levitation skills. That's not what I'm trying to tell you guys. I promise.
You're just clingy.
Right? Don't look into it, okay?
Oh,
Ooh.
shots fired.
Right? Jeez. Where was I? Mana.
Wait, do Brits actually say mana?
Mana, yes.
Do they? I've never heard that. I've heard Brits say mana as well. So
Well, so there's this very snobby thing in England. So in America you have like the Mason-Dixon line.
mm-hmm.
We have like a similar kind of thing. It's less pronounced, but like there's a similar kind of like small version in England with kind of like the north-south divide, right? And like historically, like the south was always where all the posh people lived, and the north was where all of the working people lived, and like there was vicious rivalries between the two. And a lot of people have like a big hang up about like how you say that letter A. So like in the example that people always use is the word bath and the word grass. And if you say bath and grass, you're like southern and posh. And if you say bath and grass, it means that you're northern and like, I don't know, northern.
Uncultured swine.
Right? Exactly. And I love northern people. Manchester's amazing. Liverpool's probably my favorite city. I love you, the north. Please don't hate me. So I guess that if I were from the north, I might call it manor. But I'm from the south. I'm one of those posh snobs. So mana it is.
Chat wants you to say aluminum.
Aluminium.
Why? There's no I. There's no extra I.
That
What is
is
that?
that is the way that we spell it. I promise. I promise. That's not the biggest one. Is the word that always like tickles me is the word suggest. You guys pronounce both G's in that word. May I
Yeah,
may I
that's
make
true.
a suggestion? I'm like a suggestion. Suggestion? You mean a
Yeah.
suggestion?
That happens a lot with American English, and it's something I had to train out of myself when doing British accents. Is suggestion? Yeah.
It's really funny, isn't it? And it's weird how
Yeah.
like those things like endure, and I find myself like slipping into like one or the other depending on who I'm talking to. Very confusing. Aluminum, aluminium, mana. Okay, it seems humans took quite a bit of internal damage from using too much mana. Not helpful, Blake called back as he kicked Steve. His foot got stuck in Steve's ribcage, making Ryan laugh even harder. Emily? Matt? Blake was a sight to see, his body strangely twisted and held in midair. Blake's sword flailed about wildly now, and it seemed Matt had finally decided arrows were useless. The archer rushed forward with his bow, and smashed it against Steve. He just bowed furiously at him, smashed it against Steve. That was actually less effective than his arrows. All it resulted in was his bow cracking in half. Matt, what does Matt sound like? Matt. I have a 3-second memory. Matt's not. Oh, there he is. Great. Seriously? I've had that thing for years. Matt cursed as he let the pieces fall and started to try and free Blake instead. Blake, in the meantime, worked on keeping Steve's bladed arm away from himself and the archer. Blast its skull, Matt growled. Emily is. Did I give you Emily already?
Nope.
Okay. Another innocent voice, very shy and hesitant about most things, due in part because of her past with her father and the fact that her brother has now decided to take a protective role over her. I kind of want you to go for a kind of like season 1 Sansa Stark.
Okay.
But I'm not. I can't.
Nor can I, because I've lost my place. Emily shook her head and stuttered, her wand wavering in the air.
You know I don't have good aim. That's why I just overload the spell with mana.
Scene break. So, Emily had blasted those 2 squirrels with brute force, not finesse. That was suddenly a lot less impressive. Ryan started to wonder how this group had made it this far. Just fire on 3, Matt called out as he braced himself. 1, he tugged at Blake's foot, freeing it. 2, he grunted as he tried to pull Blake free. Let go of your shield, you dolt, he cursed. As realization crossed Blake's face and he let go of his shield, Matt called out, 3! An eruption of force blasted into Steve, sending bone shards flying through the air. Blake and Matt tumbled backwards, crashing against a wall. Ha! He's still a bone slinger, Jack called out, wincing as he rose to his feet. Where Steve's body had been, only thousands of pieces of bone remained, along with a neatly folded silk robe. Oh, nice loot. Whew. Jack whistled as he walked slowly toward the robe. Matt and Blake struggled to their feet, groaning as they dusted dirt and bone powder from their clothes. I think we need a new plan for that fight, Blake commented as he looked around. His shield had been completely shattered by Emily's spell. Same. Matt picked up his broken bow, looking at his sister. At least no one got injured. Hey, I got pretty hurt. Jack was already holding the robes, looking them over and muttering. Well, no one that matters. Blake joked half-heartedly, and the group broke out laughing. Watching them laughing, victorious, Ryan couldn't help but smile to himself. He really was glad to see Blake and his group hadn't fallen to his dungeon, and he had to admit it seemed they got a lot more enjoyment out of it than the other groups that had been through. Maybe making the dungeon easier on them wasn't doing them a favor. Maybe he should just let the adventurers test their skills.
You all did well, and I'm proud of all of you.
Karen said, standing near the exit. She smiled brightly at her teammates. They were beaten and battered and missing 2 pieces of gear, but they'd all survived.
Now, let's get out of the dungeon and see just how much we gained today.
And with that, the group turned and left Ryan's boss room. I almost said Ryan's boss's room. They're just chilling in Ryan's boss's room. And left Ryan's boss room. I like them, Ryan whispered to Aaron as they made their way back through his dungeon.
Me too,
Aaron said, preparing her silk cloth bed atop him and letting out a yawn.
Hopefully, some of the groups tomorrow are just like them.
She stretched and pulled her cloth over herself.
I had a lot of fun today,
She said. So did I. Ryan sat in silence, save for Aaron snoring, for a long while after Blake's team left. With their departure, everyone outside of the dungeon left as well, leaving Ryan's entrance empty. Jeff, can I have like a couple of fairy snores? Can I hear what that might sound like? Oh, my little heart. Oh, too cute. The night was quickly approaching, casting long shadows and making his dungeon's entrance almost seem to come to life. As he thought back to Blake's team and their dungeon dive, Ryan found himself strangely content and happy. Maybe, just maybe, he could get used to life as a dungeon. End of chapter 33.
Huzzah.
Nice.
All right, cool.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
It's good fun. So, first of all, I just want to say, Jeff, when I write my memoir, I'm casting you in the role of my sister. You did brilliantly. It was flawless. Jonathan, what did you think? How did we do?
Definitely was amusing, to say the least. Those fairy snores at the end was got me.
Right? Bundle that shit and sell it on Etsy. It's too adorable. Amazing. And we had this other scene that Jeff was going to do, right?
Jeff was looking at some Victor stuff, since that
Yeah.
is the actual person he gets to.
Just tell me where it's at.
Incredible.
All right, so it's hard to find. Okay. So the first time it shows up, because his scenes are italicized early on in the story, because he just kind of gets like the mysterious presence that's kind of like away from the dungeon that you're seeing through the story. So the first time on my document, it's page 14, but I don't have the PDF open. I have the Word document.
Could you tell me a chapter?
So it's at the end of chapter 4.
Okay. All right. Okay, so do you want me to narrate this whole bit?
Ideally, I think if you were narrating the parts of Victor and then also doing the dialogue for him later on when he has more speaking roles, because he doesn't really show up that much in these dialogued sections.
Okay.
But I feel it would help kind of cast a different tone at times to the story, kind of break from, because then you get I feel like you'd get a different break, in the emotion of the story and everything, because you're going from lighthearted kind of Ryan shenanigans with Blake and Aaron and all the fam, and then you got to go to this like more dark and ominous stuff going on in the background, where you're just like, what is this? What's going on? And then later on, when everything gets explained and revealed, then you're like,
Sure. Okay. So do you want the narration to be the same voice as Victor?
I feel like we'd want to give Victor a different voice in the narration, but kind of
Okay.
both keep them.
Keep them both dark.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what do you want Victor to sound like?
So Victor. Well, the irony here is like I've got a necromancer named Victor that's made of a bunch of different body parts.
Mm.
So the Victor Frankenstein joke is not lost on me. With regards to that, but
So he's like a lich, kind of.
yeah,
Okay.
he's essentially a lich.
I was when I first read the character description, there's some good words: wheezy, raspy, creepy,
Ooh.
ethereal type voice,
Ooh, okay.
right?
Okay. All right, and then okay, let me.
Yeah.
So, how about for the narration then? There's gonna be like some contrast here. We'll have the narration voice. How about like close and disturbingly intimate?
Yeah, let's
I'm a
do that.
fan.
Let's see how you bring that one to life. Yeah.
All right. The deep reverberation of bells woke him from his slumber. His eyes opened slowly, and as he sat up, he scanned the room. The skeletons that surrounded him as he slept stood silent and unmoving. He paid them no heed as he stood, calling on the surrounding gloom to cover him. He emerged from the room, riding a wave of darkness, heading to the heart of his castle. The walls he passed were adorned with ancient paintings, relics from times long forgotten. He recalled acquiring the castle from his master, and smirked to himself as he remembered that sniveling fool. He hadn't even been worth bringing back as a minion. He passed patrolling zombies and skeletons on his way, his loyal servants, all humans too weak to stand before him in life. At least they were useful in death. He grinned again as his eyes passed over his pets. Every undead face reminded him of a battle, of death. He did so enjoy killing. Perhaps that was why he had so readily accepted his calling and embraced his dark powers. His thoughts paused as he reached his goal, a massive underground chamber with a single pedestal resting in the center of the room. Atop the pedestal sat a crystal, the only one of its kind in existence. It was able to determine when a dungeon of darkness affinity had awakened, and clearly it had detected something, for the crystal was glowing with a dark light. Beside it, an acolyte, the only other living being in his castle, was clanging the bells. As he entered, the acolyte faltered and stepped away from the bells, bowing in his direction. "Contacts your master," he growled to the acolyte. "There is a new darkness dungeon."
I'm a fan.
Okay.
I wish that we had like some little button that we could press that would make some like ominous like dun 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 happen at the end there. That would have been like perfect.
Yeah.
That
All
was
right, so
brilliant.
you're cool with the narration, you're cool with the lich voice?
Yeah, that definitely works to bring across kind of the mood and everything that scene is trying to set.
Is there one more little, like, just a little bit of dialogue that I can use with the lich to just develop it a little bit more? Because I only have this.
Sure thing. You want a part where Victor's speaking a little bit more?
Yeah, just a little bit. We don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah. I'm just writing Control Fs through the. Yeah.
And I didn't really do an accent or anything. He's like part of do you want an accent for him at all?
No, he doesn't need an accent. So let's see. It was Victor. That line pulls that up there.
Boom, 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 boom. We're just
You have
doing
the miscellaneous procrastination noises of
Yeah. searching for things.
All right, so chapter 41 is the first time that we see Victor make an appearance in the dungeon, and he actually has some dialogue kind of out in the open because obviously Ryan can't respond to him verbally.
Okay. Is this like at the end of it with another italics? bit?
No, this is going to be in the middle of the chapter.
Okay. Got a
Because you've
keyword
got
for me.
so if you are control, like you're running a control F,
Yeah, basically.
type in necromancers are a very rare class. Did that work?
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, because then if you scroll down a little longer, you've got well, Ryan tries to drop a rock on his head. And then his first line there is, I see I've gotten your attention, dungeon.
Boom, 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 boom. Wait. So vile, which is the so you don't bring back the dead. Ryan, Aaron. There it is. There it is. Okay.
Cool. So shall I read from Necromancers are a very rare class?
Yeah, let's just go from there.
Do you want to carry on doing the female voices as well?
Sure.
Awesome.
Necromancers are a very rare class.
Erin said quietly.
It is a class that is constantly feared and hunted by the church. A class that is viewed as evil.
Go on. Ryan could tell Erin really didn't like talking about necromancers. He needed to know just what was going on. He hated the idea of someone in his dungeon that could steal his mobs.
The reason the class is so
Erin shuddered.
vile is because they use a darkness affinity to bring back the dead.
Which is what I do as a darkness dungeon. Ryan remembered how upset Erin had been when he chose his affinity.
Yes, but you don't bring back the dead. You create your own sets of dungeon bones and animate those. You're a good darkness dungeon. This vile creature is an evil, disgusting thing.
Okay, Erin really doesn't like necromancers. You still haven't covered how he stole my mobs, Ryan said, becoming increasingly worried. The figure had reached the second room, his army of skeletons lined up behind him. He was moving slowly to the center of the room, and Ryan could guess what was about to happen next.
Because of his darkness affinity and his class, he can animate the dead.
Erin said. Yes, you covered that, hon. Ryan was getting impatient. The necromancer had just shot out his tendrils again and stolen all of his mobs in the second room.
Well, the thing about necromancers is that they can steal undead minions from others who are 2 tiers below them.
Erin explained quickly, sensing his fear.
Even though you create your mobs from scratch, the bones are still based off once living things. Therefore, they are free game for the necromancer.
Well, that's not good. So, Ryan thought aloud, because I'm bronze, he has to be at least gold to be a necromancer.
Who can steal all of your mobs?
The necromancer is at least gold. Well, that's really not good. How can we stop him? Ryan asked.
Have you tried your favorite rock method?
Erin must really hate this guy if she was recommending he dropped a stalactite on the necromancer's head. However, given the fact he was stealing Ryan's mobs and his class was evil according to Erin, Ryan was happy to oblige. Got it.
One sec. For when you're pronouncing it's stalactite.
Stalactite.
In American.
Oh, no way. Is it stalagmite as well?
Yep.
Stalag-
Yeah, it's a G, isn't it?
Stalagmite, stalactite.
Yeah.
Crazy. The more you
Stalactite,
know.
stalagmite.
I love it. Erin must really hate this guy if she was recommending he dropped a stalactite. Stalactite?
Stalactite.
Yeah, stalactite.
If she was recommending he dropped a stalactite on the necromancer's head. However, given the fact he was stealing Ryan's mobs and his class was evil, according to Erin, Ryan was happy to oblige. Got it. Ryan didn't need any further prodding. He didn't like evil things, and the necromancer was definitely that. He willed the stalactite into being and silently dropped the massive stone down onto the necromancer. That should... Swirling darkness shot from the necromancer to the nearest skeletal mobs. Skeletal, right?
Yep.
To the nearest skeletal mobs, breaking them apart and pulling their bones above the necromancer's form. The bones created a swirling skeletal shield, which easily blocked the stone spike Ryan had summoned. Even as Ryan started summoning another, the necromancer started laughing. The sound was dark, and if Ryan could shiver, he would have.
I see I have gotten your attention, Dungeon.
The necromancer's voice boomed around the room, coming from deep within the swirling darkness. Ryan responded by dropping another stalactite, much larger than the first, onto the necromancer. The swirling bones blocked the stone, sending bone shards and rock pieces flying across the room.
Please, your tricks will not work against me,
the necromancer said, unfazed. Ryan dropped a boulder this time. He was starting to feel the mana drain hitting him. He couldn't keep up this barrage. Darkness shot out, pulling apart the remaining skeletal mobs the necromancer had stolen. The bones formed into a spike that shattered the boulder, sending its remains cascading harmlessly. The bones appeared to have tendrils of black mana snaking around them. If Ryan had to guess, the necromancer was reinforcing them now to preserve them. Well, that's new. The necromancer brushed dust from his robe. Any ideas, Rin? Ryan doubted sending Steve after the necromancer would do anything, and he didn't want his boss mob stolen.
Absorb Steve and close off the path to the boss room. Maybe he will leave.
That seemed like a good plan, as Ryan doubted they would be able to kill the necromancer. As a bronze dungeon, he just wasn't that strong. He'd only killed that mage using the element of surprise. Ryan absorbed Steve and summoned a stone slab over the exit in the second room. He silently cursed how little mana he had. The necromancer turned towards the now sealed entrance, chuckling darkly.
I can understand your fear, Dungeon.
The cruel voice said.
It is good of you to fear me.
Ooh.
All right, how's that? Is that enough?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Jeff's getting a little too into this voice.
It's giving me some feels. Wow.
Hey guys, I gotta get going, but thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for dropping by.
And yeah, I'll catch you later.
See you soon, boss.
You guys go buy Bone Dungeon on Kindle if you can't wait to hear it on Audible.
Do it.
Peace.
Do it. Amazing. Toodles. Great. Well, I guess that kind of like wraps up for us too. What time is it? Yes. 3:49.
Yep. One thing I know at the beginning of it, people were curious when you think the audiobook is going to be completed.
That is a very good question. So I started this week in recording, and so I don't know. I'm very new to Sound Booth Theatre, and so I'm not too sure of like how quickly the timeline moves. But certainly within like the next couple of weeks, I think is when we'll have everything kind of like being finalized and everything. So I want to say end of July maybe, but I have no idea. This is based on me guessing as a very junior member of a very established team. But it is coming. But the best way to stay updated is to check out all of the links in the YouTube video below, and you can check out our Facebook group. We've got a Discord channel where I'll be narrating the book as well, or parts of it. and you can kind of keep on tabs with all of that stuff to see when the book's going to be coming out.
Yeah, it seems like, let's see, Rue has asked in chat for people to ask questions. We're going to see if anyone actually takes a bite off of that.
Amazing. Let me load up the chat as well so I can see what's going on.
So far, Trad is just trolling. Typical chat.
Amazing. Great. Love that. He looks like our doggies. He does look like your doggies. He's so cute. So cute. I can forgive him from, pissing on my floor. Just allow. Given time. Given time. Oh, geez. A whole bunch more of the chat just loaded that wasn't there before. Now, I think there was a question way up at the top. The suspense. We don't troll, we add flavor. Love it.
Yeah, I know the question at the top was when the audiobook would be out. I remember that one.
Got it. Amazing. How much do you like the book? And are you going to do the voicing of the second when it comes out? So far, the very little that I've kind of so I've done my initial read through, which is fairly quick. And so a lot of that, the greater parts of the story, I don't know, I don't really have the time to appreciate a book, but it was a very easy initial skim through, which is always a good sign that it's going to be an easy book to read. I really love the style of it. The way that you write, I think, is a very kind of it happens a lot in these types of books, I guess, but it's a very kind of conversational, kind of easy to kind of get involved in. There's no, I don't know, just the pacing of how your prose works is very nice to read. It's very falls off the tongue. Some other projects, particularly very formal ones, any high fantasy, I feel I have to be stood in my booth with a rod up my ass, literally. I have to be so Boromir stepped forward and gripped the hilt of his, and it's fun and it's great, but it takes a lot of energy to be that serious all day long. And so, yeah, your book's got a lot more of a kind of conversational, zippy, kind of what you were saying before, right? About the shorter chapters. I think it feels a little bit more like talking to a friend, and so it's nice and relaxed. It's fun to read. I can fall into the style of it very easily. So I like it a lot so far.
All I'm hearing is Bone Dungeon is quick and easy, just like the author.
And the narrator too. So yeah, and with the second one, I hope so. I hope I'll be voicing the second one. Depends on whether or not you guys like me, I guess. So yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Amazing. Bite-sized chapters. They're great. They're great. I love them. Amazing. Anything else that I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention and that I haven't mentioned, or that we should. I don't know. It's mid-afternoon on a Thursday. My brain's not all there. It's not
No
what
worries.
it was on Monday.
Yes, I don't really have any crazy news or anything from Bone Dungeon. Like I said, there's
Amazing.
that short coming out, but that's for Portal email list. So if you want a nice short story from Bone Dungeon, join Portal's email list.
Amazing.
You get free treats from Portal.
If you send me a link, I'll put that in the YouTube video description after we're done, so that you can check that out. How short is short? How long is it going to be?
So it's 5,000 words.
Okay, that's a decent size. It's not a trifling matter. Do you know when you're going to be done with the second book writing it? Do you know when that's going to come out?
Yeah, so that question, given lovingly by my wife, who loves to troll me. Oh, and then next one, Lisa asking the same question. Thanks guys. It's currently being written. When I wrote Bone Dungeon, the first book, I was still living in Colorado and had a different job, and I had kind of a schedule that was set. We've recently moved. I moved to South Carolina at the start of January and had to get a new job and everything. So things have been a bit chaotic, which has slowed my writing down a tad, but I'm trying to get back into the flow of it.
Nice.
So I just need some good free days to sit down and really crank out some words.
So basically, what he's saying is, if you want the next book, hurry on down to South Carolina with Red Bull and Pro Plus, is what he needs. So it's up to you guys. Amazing. Cool. Well, I think that's all we've got for now. Seems like a great time to sign off. This has been a treat. I'm going to go and start working on recording the actual book again right now. And it's been lovely. This has been a Soundbeef Theatre Live. I'm Will Watt. And from me and from Jonathan Smidt, who's right here, thank you and good night. Or goodbye, I guess.
Cheers.
See you guys soon.